In the ever-evolving world of football transfers, few situations are as complicated and charged with emotion as Ansu Fati's current standing at FC Barcelona. Once considered one of the most exciting young talents to emerge from the club's famed La Masia academy, Fati now finds himself at a crossroads, caught between his loyalty to the club and the hard reality of his diminishing role at the Camp Nou. Despite his clear struggle to find a place in Barcelona's first-team plans under new manager Hansi Flick, the 22-year-old forward remains resolute about staying with the Catalan Giants, even as club officials and management are suggesting he consider a loan move. While most players in Fati's position would be eager to accept a temporary move away to secure more playing time, Fati's emotional attachment to Barcelona and his ambitions are keeping him from making that leap. It's a dilemma that speaks to the complexities of modern football and the difficult decisions players often have to face, especially when their career trajectory is on the line. The backdrop: a rough loan spell and the uncertain future. Fati's recent loan spell at Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League didn't go as planned. Despite high hopes, the young forward struggled to establish himself as a regular starter in the English top flight, leading to frustration for both the player and the club. His limited impact during his time in Brighton has led to further doubts about his future at Barcelona, especially considering the rise of other talents within the squad. However, it's clear that Fati, while understanding the need for growth, isn't quite ready to accept another stint away from his boyhood club. The situation has only become more complicated since Hansi Flick took over the managerial reins at Barcelona. Under Flick's regime, Fati has struggled to break into the starting lineup, and despite being a talent with undeniable potential, he's found himself lower down the pecking order. Flick has been clear about his plans for the forward, signaling that unless something drastic changes, Fati will remain on the fringes of the squad. Barcelona's efforts to resolve the situation. For Barcelona, the decision regarding Fati has been on the table for months. Sporting director Deco, a former Barcelona star, had already spoken to Fati's agent, Jorge Mendes, before Christmas, urging him to find a solution for the player. Barcelona's management believes that a loan move could be the best option for Fati at this stage of his career, one that would allow him to play regularly, regain confidence, and eventually return to Barcelona as a more polished player. However, Fati has made it clear that he isn't ready to leave. This wasn't a decision that was made on a whim. Fati is determined to fight for his place at Barcelona, a club that has been his home for years. His loyalty and belief in his own abilities are apparent, and he doesn't want to abandon the team at this stage of the season, especially with the club facing a major transition under a new manager. Barcelona's management, however, is not blind to the fact that Fati's continued presence at the club without regular playing time could be detrimental both to his career and to the team's plans. With salary caps still a huge concern for the club, they need player exits in order to free up space for future acquisitions and to balance their books. Fati's situation is not just a matter of player management, it's also a financial issue for the club. Jorge Mendes, the super agent in the middle of it all. Enter Jorge Mendes, the powerful super agent known for his ability to broker deals and maneuver players through tricky situations. Mendes has long been a trusted intermediary for Barcelona, and in this instance, his role is more critical than ever. As Barcelona's management seeks to resolve Fati's future, they are relying on Mendes to help facilitate a loan move that would benefit both the player and the club. Mendes is well aware that Fati's career needs regular minutes on the pitch in order to develop, but he also understands the delicate balance of respecting his client's wishes and navigating the broader demands of the football market. Mendes, who managed to convince Fati to consider a loan move to Brighton last season, is now tasked with a similar mission. Barcelona is hoping that Mendes can once again work his magic, finding Fati a club where he can play week in and week out, away from the intense spotlight of Barcelona. The timing is critical, though, with just days remaining in the transfer window. The past week has seen Barcelona step up their efforts, and the club is pushing Mendes to present Fati with options that will allow him to regain his form. If Fati remains at Barcelona, he's likely to see very little playing time for the remainder of the season, which would only exacerbate the issue come summer, when Barcelona would need to either sell or loan him out permanently. Mendes has reportedly received interest from several Turkish clubs for Fati, and there are also potential moves to Portuguese clubs on the table. Additionally, Spanish clubs have shown some interest, although Fati's reluctance to leave Barcelona might limit these options. Mendes' ability to broker a move to a team where Fati can play regularly will be crucial for the forward's development and long-term prospects. What's at stake for Fati and Barcelona? For Fati, the stakes couldn't be higher. Despite his immense talent, he is at risk of fading into obscurity if he doesn't secure more playing time. Barcelona's plans for the future revolve around having a squad that is both competitive and financially stable, and as part of that strategy, Fati's situation needs to be resolved. The club cannot afford to have a player like him languishing on the bench, especially with so many other talented individuals pushing for spots in the starting lineup. From a purely footballing standpoint, Fati needs to play. The raw potential is still there, but without regular match action, it will be hard for him to rediscover the form that once made him one of the hottest prospects in European football. Playing in a competitive league, away from the pressures of Barcelona, could give him the space to develop further and potentially return to the Catalan club with a renewed sense of purpose. On the other hand, Barcelona is facing its own pressures. With financial constraints and an ever-evolving squad, the club needs to make tough decisions. A loan move for Fati could be a win-win situation. It allows the player to find his feet again while freeing up space and wages for other areas of the team. However, if Fati stays and spends the rest of the season warming the bench, Barcelona could face a much more difficult summer transfer window, with clubs hesitant to pay for a player who has hardly featured in competitive matches. With only days left in the transfer window, time is running out for both Fati and Barcelona to find a solution. The next few days will be critical in determining the future of one of Spain's brightest young talents. For Fati, the key question is whether he can be convinced to take a loan move and gain the playing time he needs to develop, or whether he will continue to fight for his place at Barcelona, risking further stagnation. For Barcelona, it's a matter of balancing the club's long-term vision with the immediate needs of the player and the team. Whatever happens in the coming days, one thing is certain: Fati's journey is far from over, and the decisions made now will shape the next phase of his